I'm really thrilled to be reading here with Rivka and Chuck, and to hear the music. Thanks for putting this together. I feel like I'm facing the wrong way in a subway car or something. Or I'm behind the door. I'm about to open the door of like a Walmart or something. Christmas morning. I'm going to read, I don't know what I'm going to read actually, but I'm going to read for 15 minutes. So I'll check my time. Okay. I'm going to read a few new poems. I have a book coming out in January called The Ticking is the Bomb. And it's, wow. That's going to be the funniest thing I say all night. Good audience, you warmed them up good. I told Rivka that she had set the bar rather high for that story. So I was trying to sneak these poems into the memoir, which is more nonfiction-like, and it got all the way through until about a month ago, and my editor finally was like, the poems. I thought I was going to get away with it, because I got away, it's the same editor I had for Another Bullshit Night in Suck City, and I got away with the title of that one. And so I thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get away with these poems, and they're like 8-page poems. But she said no. But there's another book coming out now, a book of poems is coming out from those, which is good. It's fine. So I'm going to read some poems that, I'm going to read maybe one of those long poems, and then some other poems that now have the filler. I started trying to write some haikus, but they all failed because they got really long. I'm just talking. I never talk this much for reading, but it's I'm just realizing these long haikus are like in Wilmington, North Carolina. I got there once, and as I was coming from the airport, a student was driving me from the airport, and there's a big florist gardening shop, and a big sign out front that's still there. I just asked somebody about it recently. A big sign out that said "World's Largest Bonsai," and I just thought that was so great. I asked the student. I said, "Did you see that sign? Like, what is that?" And the student was like, "Yeah, it's really big." I thought it was such an American thing. World's largest bonsai. So this is the same idea. This is a haiku fail. This is a long haiku. Haiku failed. The thin thread that holds us here, tethered, or maybe tied together, what do you call it? Telephone, horizon, song. Listen to yourself sing. We are all God's children. We are all gods. We walk the earth sometimes, 2 sails inside us sometimes. Beating, our bodies the bottle, a ship inside each, until one day, for no reason, it sails. Hello? Damn phone. Until one day it sails out of sight. Until one day it cuts out of earshot. Bye-bye, muttered into your cupped palm. Bye-bye, boat. Bye-bye, rain. Look, maybe this is the place we've been waiting for. Maybe this place is the day inside us, inside each corpuscle, the day, that day. Every day is inside my body, your body. Every day is this thread. Every day you said, come get me. Every day you said, it's been way too long. You said, bye-bye, bye-bye. Not a day went by. The thread, so thin, this thread. Are you still here? Is it still your heart? Is it welling? I'll read a few more of these. This is called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah. And the thing about the book, Ticking is the Bomb, is it deals with both the sort of release of the Evergrey photographs and then deciding to have a baby. So somehow those two fit together, and basically the fear around both of those things, I think. So this is so babies will appear, is what I'm saying in the poems. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. A child somewhere squats, scratches the dirt with a twig, muttering, broken, 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 muttering, an excellent place to hide, an excellent hole, a hidey hole, a spider hole, the hole she will crawl into or through one day. Not today, thank God, not yet. She can't know yet. Each hole is a word, each word a thread. Let's try this again, without the child this time. Broken, broken, broken. No sun today, no shadow. Tiring, isn't it? This kneeling, lips pressed to the sidewalk, whispering into a crack. Yesterday, it all seemed normal, Brooke Adams says to Donald Sutherland as he drives her to the psychiatrist. Today, everything seemed the same, but it wasn't. Brooke didn't know, couldn't know, not then, that Donald was gone, already gone. This is another one of these haikus. Basically, for like 2 years after Another Bullshit Night came out, all I did was write blurbs, and they're the best. And one of them, they were the best thing I wrote. So I just took a blurb and made a poem. This is for Stephen Elliott's book. My girlfriend comes to the city and beats me up. This is a great book. It's called Pulse, Hidden Bird. Imagine a glass of water, a drop of blood suspended dead center. One drop, watch it dissolve. I can't tell the difference, not today, not really, between this and your body, face up in a pond, say, eyes closed, each pulsing leaf. What else are we here for? Why are we this and not nothing? You know, the big questions. And what about our dead? What do we do with them? We have to turn them into something, right? Mine never came back. Mine keep coming back. Please, I beg you, open your eyes. Please, open your mouth. Or let me open it. Please, there's something I need to taste. It's so simple. Lurking inside us is a child, a real child, running with both hands in the air, as if escaping a prison, laughing now, the wall far behind her. This has a line from one of my favorite Roman Polanski movies in it, Bitter Moon. Just so you don't think this isn't my line, nor it is my intention. It's called False Prophet. The book tells us to cling to the thought that in God's hands, our dark past is our greatest possession. You've ruined it, the woman with the riding crop says to the man on all fours, naked but for his mask. Pigs don't talk. Cling. Maybe inside this word are more words. Maybe inside darkness is simply more darkness. God's hands. Here's a riddle. A cosmonaut holds hands with an astronaut, both untethered. Which one is confusing a pinpoint of light with an unreachable planet? You're getting the sense of how these go. That killed about 8 minutes. Okay, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this one and then switch to a couple pieces from the book, and then bring it home with a long poem. This is called. This should be called. It should be called "Free Bird with Each Cage." I had that written over the title. I think that's a better title. That was a sign in a window of a pet store in Brooklyn, which I've been trying to write a poem from for years. So maybe this is a poem, because I see the title. I see I've written it above this title. Free bird with every cage. That sounds pretty good. Green rug, a stack of bowls. A toddler hoists her tiny fork. Can it be this simple? Can this be the whole project? Pick anything. This bottle say, here, uncork it, take a pull. Lemonade. It wouldn't exist without you, they say. I don't know, maybe, true. But it's dark, but it's always dark somewhere. I messed that up. But we'll go on. Try this. It's got all marks on it. It's really, I shouldn't even read this. Try this. Close your eyes. No, wait. When, if we see each other again, the first thing we should do is close our eyes. No. First, we should tie our hands to something solid, bedpost, doorknob. Otherwise they, wild birds, might startle us awake. Are we forgetting something? What about that warehouse, the one beside the airport, that room of black boxes, a man in each box? Turn up the heat, turn up the song. I hear if you bring this one into the light, he will not stop crying. If you show this one a photo of his son, his eyes go dead. First thing we should do, if we see each other again, is to make a cage of our bodies. Inside we can place whatever still shines. It's terrifying when you say and you're not at the microphone. You sound like you're suddenly all alone in a room. So this book, so I'm going to read a couple short pieces from this book, and then we will. That might be it. That might be the end. There's these repeated themes, sort of threads that go through this book, and one of them is Proteus, the mythological figure that I don't have to say anything because I'm going to tell you who he is in a minute. But he's sort of the abiding archetype of the book, in that he sort of seemed to line up with he's a figure of transformations and fear, and he seemed to line up with a book about torture and becoming a father. It's great. The father thing is great. So just don't get the wrong impression. It's totally great. This is the book was written like I had to sort of pretend to be afraid still, even when now it's just great. It's trust me, it's pretty great. This is Proteus. Proteus lives at the bottom of a steep cliff down a treacherous path at the edge of the sea. From the top of the cliff you can see him lolling on a flat rock, staring into the endless nothing of the sea. But to reach him is difficult. You've been told that he has the answer to your question, and you are a little desperate to have this question answered. As you make your way down, you must be careful not to dislodge any loose gravel, careful not to cry out when the thorns pierce your feet. You must approach him as quietly as you can, get right up on him, get your hands on him, around his neck. You've been told that you have to hold on while you ask your question. You've been told that you can't let go. You've been told that as you hold on, Proteus will transform into the shape and form of that which most terrifies you, in order to get you to release your grip. But the promise is that if you can hold on through your fear, he will return to his real form and answer your question. You seem like a good one for, we seem to have these questions we need answered. And there's a moment in here where we end up in Istanbul. I was sort of writing this book. I ended up meeting these people who were dealing with torture issues, and got invited to go to Istanbul to collect testimonies from detainees from Abu Ghraib. So one of the detainees that's mentioned in this, Amir, is the guy that Lindy England was dragging on a leash. So you'll just hear his name. Monkey mind. Some Buddhists, in case you didn't hear that, some Buddhists believe that as you wander the bardo, that realm between living and dying, you will encounter the physical manifestations of that which terrifies you. Over and over they will appear before you. This is your karmic debt, and only those who are enlightened will walk unafraid. Some believe that enlightenment often comes at the moment of death, just as it can often come at the moment of birth. Most of us, though, spend our given time, our handful of hours, our teaspoonful of years, hovering between these two poles, muddying the water. Monkey mind, some call it, samsara. 2007. In Istanbul, while collecting testimonies, we asked each ex-detainee to describe the room where his torture took place. Each man looked around him. It looked like this room, each responded. There was a table, there was a computer, someone was always behind me. What did the person who tortured you look like? was the next question. And the detainee would look at me, then look at the artist, the only two white men in the room, and either point to him or point to me. He looked like him, was the answer. In some ways, we were mere shadows to them. One evening over dinner at an outdoor restaurant, Amir asked if I was married, if I had children. I've been asked this question for years. Whenever I travel, I've been looked at with something like pity when I've answered no. My first child will be born in January, I told Amir, a girl. He narrowed his eyes and smiled, as if I had just come into focus. I'm going to finish with this. Two strong men. My Dharma teacher relates a story the Buddha told about a boy who lived in a small village. I was just thinking if I'd read a little more. Yeah, I'm going to read a little more. Sorry. I'm just going to read to the end of the page. My Dharma teacher relates a story the Buddha told about a boy who lived in a small village. And on the edge of this village was a huge pit filled with burning coals. It troubled the boy, this pit, the idea that he might one day wander too close, fall in. And so the boy leaves his village, begins his life as a wanderer. This is the Chinese version of the story the teacher tells us. But in the Indian version, the boy, before he can leave the village, finds himself one day being dragged toward the pit by two strong men. We are left to assume that they either throw him in or else he escapes. The two strong men might be our desires, the teacher tells us. And to be aware of our desires can sometimes be enough. 2007. Inez is 2 months pregnant. I bike into the city one night to give a reading at a New York bar called KGB. Afterwards, a young woman comes up to me, holds out her closed hand, asks if it's okay if she gives me a gift. We'd never met before, but she'd seen something in a store just before the reading and thought of me. When she opened her hand, there in her palm was a small bronze statue of a monkey, standing on its hind legs, his two hands clasping his chest. Only he wasn't merely pointing to his chest, like Jesus. He was ripping his chest open. I saw it and thought of you, she said. In one of my poems, Jesus rips open his shirt to show us his heart, all flaming and thorny. I recognized him as a Hindu god, but I couldn't remember his name. He's not even as long as my pinky. What's his name, I asked. Inside his open chest, I can see a tiny heart. The monkey god is Hanuman. The planets are under control of Hanuman's tail, and whoever worships him is granted strength and fortitude. The girl held her hand out to me, offering me this tiny god. The girl who held her hand out, The girl who held her hand out to me, offering this tiny god, was very beautiful. Fortitude, strength. Can I say I didn't want this girl to take me home with her? Can I say it doesn't pass through my mind still? But if she were to appear before me now, which version of me would she find? Thanks.